All right, so recording started. So we have this proposal, and we have a lot of inputs from the community. So as you see, the proposal mostly address three things. One is that why we do this energy, environmental sustainability, and what are the major issues over there, and what are our responsibilities as a community to address these challenges. And then we come to the technology and landscapes and gaps and potentials. We're looking at them as opportunities for the CNCF community to take on and to improve our sustainability. And then we go into the details of what we want to do once this CNCF community starts, and what should be our major responsibilities in details. So in answering these questions, the community has put together this proposal that we can use for our future reference. And specifically, we want this proposal to be actionable, meaning that once we're looking at it, we know what is the challenge, and we know what is this proposal. So these are the issues we can take on, and we do not want to overextend our focus. So we want to stay within the CNCF community, and we know what our responsibilities are, specifically on taking these issues and get resolutions. So I think this is my understanding of this proposal, and I do appreciate a lot of inputs and ideas, wonderful ideas. In coming to today and tomorrow's session, and also this is going to be a preparation for the Wednesday's community meetings that we're trying to address as many issues as we can and open up discussions. What could be the, something we missed, something needs to be more extended in terms of writing. And if there's anything we should proceed to consideration.
So what we discussed in previous meetings, so in the working group meetings, so goals and stuff like this.
Right.
Do we basically continue with this, or do we start an entire new discussion? So do we continue with like the projects that we thought about, or?
Yeah, so my understanding, so Milo is here, so this is also a good idea to get all the inputs here. My understanding is that the CNCF has different levels of organization. By the way, I'm just speaking on my own opinion. I do not have any authorities on the directions on future. My understanding is that CNCF, the way a CNCF constructs the working groups, the tag, and any of the projects is that you have different levels of delegations and direction settings. So the working group focuses specifically on certain agendas. The tag could be at a higher level on multiple agendas. So the idea for the tag proposal is to be as comprehensive and as future-proof as possible. So that gives us a lot of consideration of what are going to be the things we need to take on. So we basically want to do the right thing in the right way. So we do not want to miss out the opportunities. So that's why I think this is the definition of the responsibilities, and in scope and out scope could be some deviation from the previous working group. But that does not necessarily say the working group proposal does not have room to fit in. In fact, I think Malo has did a wonderful job to reconcile the loss of frontiers between the tag and the working group. So I would love to hear our Malo's inputs in this way.
I don't think we drop any of the work we've been working on, right? So let's form the tag. My hope is that we move forward, we form the tag, we get going, right? Because that is what the CNCF has requested. And then we figure out where to go from there. But all the work that we've been doing, I don't think any of it gets dropped. And just where it happens may change. So if it makes sense to form a working group instead of doing the work within the tag, that's fine, right? If it makes sense to continue to do the work within the tag for now until there's so much work that the tag can't handle it, then we form working groups. It's not this came down from the CNCF, so now we go forward and we I want to accelerate this document, get it through. Then we do whatever we need to do for chairs. We do that, as a next step, but they want this doc first.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. But as far as continuing work, like currently I haven't done any work on the landscape doc, even though I want to, because we need to get this done. So my hope is to accelerate getting this in, and then we can continue with our lives.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So basically today and tomorrow we will not take any decisions or whatever. We will discuss everything on Wednesday. So on the official meeting on Wednesday, there will also be probably a few of the TUC folks and most of the others. So this sounds very good to me. So what do we want to do today and tomorrow? So do we want to just go through the entire document and discuss beforehand? So, or
yeah,
what do you think?
Go ahead, Malo.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm not even going to make tomorrow's meeting because I have a conflict. But as far as this, I want to get as many community voices as possible into this doc, because now it's a community doc, right? We've formed the working group. The working group has more people involved, so I think the tag should reflect the new group of people. So make sure all of the voices are in here. It's well written, right? It has all the concerns. I think it's, the first one was a good stab at, but considering it's a tag, should probably be more fleshed out than the initial. So let's just get this doc done, and then we can have our discussions on Wednesday, but also be ready to fly with the new proposal. So I want to get this mature. That's my hope.
Okay. And also I want to add that people from different geo locations, they may have different time zone restraints. So we get the input from different people in the world. That will be great. So Mara, do you want to drive this discussion?
Well,
I can give you maybe you can just do the screen share on your side.
I could. I'm just going through and I'm seeing if there's new content, because I'm looking for any new content in the HackMG that we haven't addressed. So we have per rules notes. Okay, so those are new. I think we addressed Max's last week. Yeah, let me do a share. And do we call you Leo or Leonard? Hi, Deb.
Leo.
How you doing? Hi, Tony.
Better.
Leo.
Hey, Deb.
Okay. Leo, if you have comments or things you want to add, please add them. And anyone who shows up for this meeting will get added as contributors, because, we want to show community backing.
Yes, I was thinking about, like, obviously later we will have like more proper idea of like the projects and everything like this. But I was thinking about maybe first to do some like writing blog posts or just getting into the topic of sustainability, because I think most folks are not really, I mean, they have a lot on their agenda day to day, but they are not very into sustainability and green software. So I think there's a big lack of knowledge for most community members. So I was thinking about splitting the goals maybe into like sort of, I don't know, first deliverables or something like this, if this would make sense. So maybe first start with like describing sustainability, writing blog posts, and giving maybe talks on KubeCon on some other platforms, and then I don't know, going into phases, maybe define phases or something like this.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Sorry, with that in mind, let's just make sure that, okay, I'd like to make sure we have deliverables, and that whatever you would like to do is encompassed in the scope.
Yeah. So just want to share a thought or two. So in our organization, we always have goals and deliverables on publicity and visibility. So based on Neil's feedback, it looks like we can explicitly set out the visibility and publicity as one of the goals we deliver.
Yeah, just some ranking maybe, because I think this is like from my point of view, the most important one. And then if we take care of this will probably take some time. then we are good on this side, and then we can, I don't know, move to the next one or something. But this is just my thinking.
Okay, so go ahead.
I was gonna say, it definitely makes sense to say we want to have outreach, right? I guess, Leonard. I don't. Sorry, I'm getting over cold. I don't know if we need to say it has to be this and it has to be now, but definitely capturing it is important. And then because we're gonna have to end up dividing up the work anyway. And to be honest, I mean, I'm already writing blog posts about sustainability. The last one had 3,000 readers. Great, it's on Medium, but it wasn't tied specifically to this. So I think once this becomes formal, all of us, right, can take that initiative, and then we can, decide, are we meeting our goals or not? But we should at least capture that that's one of our goals.
There is in the deliverables to TOC, there is education listed, but just the word education. Maybe we can expand on that.
So deliverables to the TOC are what we give to them. Regular, because this to me looks like outside of scope of the deliverables to the TOC.
So this means in the meetings of the TOC, we would educate the TOC members or general everybody who joined the TOC meeting. This is on deliverables to TOC. This is my understanding. But this would be more to the community, so writing blog posts and stuff.
Do you have access to the doc, Leo? Do you want to write in what you want, or do you want me to write for you? I'd rather.
I can also write it.
Okay.
In scope deliverables.
Yeah, this one we still have a comment on. So let's get that in, and then.
But there's no order, right? So if it's at the top, it doesn't matter. There's no order.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Of the list. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And also one question about HackMD. So this syncs with GitHub at some point, right? So if do we publish this page or something and then it syncs to GitHub, or how does it work?
I have to manually sync.
Okay.
And because we're using the free version, we only have a certain number of syncs, but it should be enough to get us through this process. And then HackMD has a free form, so various open source communities use it. So after the tag is formed, we can then go apply for actual status, because a lot of the documents that come out of CNCF are in Markdown, and this just is a nice tool. And to be honest, if I'd known about the sync issue, I may not have recommended it, but other groups are using it. So we are where we are.
Yeah, I think it's good to move away from just using docs to just using GitHub at some point, but there's some tooling needed to make it work, I think.
Yeah, you have to con them into the free version, otherwise it's $5 per member per month.
Ouch.
Yeah. I did look, because I was like, maybe I can just pay for it for the month, and I was like, no, too much.
I was gonna say.
Did you get your blog post? Thank you, Tony.
But yeah, if it becomes an issue where this is slowing us down, Marlon, let me know. I'll pay for it. It can't be that much.
We have enough people at this point. There's just, I think last I checked, there was 15 people in the HackMD. So
$75. I can live.
Yeah, but per month for a year. Like the thing is, I know.
I'm saying, so to get us through this process, I can.
I know, but we have enough pushes that I'm doing it, and then I'm also because I'm spelling out all the people who show up. Like we'll all get credit. So if there's a credit worry, I'm making sure to dodge that.
I'm not worried about that part.
I have asked Mark Butcher from FinTech to join. He's expressed interest. Is there anyone else we should be reaching out to pull in?
Scott Chamberlain.
Yeah, he's aware of the doc.
Yeah. Okay.
I've asked Microsoft, but I don't see any Microsoft voices on here yet.
Probably location-wise.
I talked with a couple of Microsoft folks, but they are not yet so interested in this tag. They said maybe later.
Okay, yeah. They said they were interested, but then they didn't show up. So maybe they were more polite to me. I guess I can reach out to Cisco folks. I know Cisco folks.
Yeah, I mean, I can I can talk to. I was just talking to AWS and GCP, the heads of Europe. I can reach out to them. I'll send them an email.
That would be good. I don't have the AWS people. GCP I didn't think to send to, but I should.
Yeah.
I am messaging people who were in the working group meetings.
Yeah, I've messaged some of them. I'm not sure if I got everyone though. Between the Slack and the email.
Do you get NVIDIA, by the way?
I did not get NVIDIA.
Could.
We should ask. GPUs use a lot of power.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess I could talk to Ian and send Ian back a message. See if he'd be interested. I think I'll say no. I guess Dwight. Yeah. I mean, just go right to Dwight. There's software.
Work?
Yeah, Dwight Derrick. So, just send me a list of all the people that we'd want to talk to, which companies, and I'll see who I can reach out to maybe.
Okay. Yeah. I have Cisco, but I think
yeah, you've got Cisco better than me. I can try to cover NVIDIA and GCP and AWS.
All right, Leonard, did you add your sentence in here?
Yeah, I'm just reading. I think I will comment a bit later, and then.
Okay. All right, then let's address the comments that we haven't addressed. Yeah. Okay. We had one more from Parole we hadn't addressed. Where is it? I wish it told us what were resolved and what we didn't.
Yeah, that's probably just more high paying tiers. You get more service.
Yeah, probably. That's how they loop you in by having a good product.
Uh-huh.
Come on. I know there was one by Parole we hadn't addressed.
Oh, I'll address the Parole's comments.
Okay, so we're set there. We added Kara's stuff. Okay.
So Kara also has a suggestion in the second paragraph to add something about net zero.
This one?
Yeah, which we haven't really addressed anywhere, I think. Well, in order to reach net zero goals.
Yeah, let's find the Paris Accords because now we're going to go quote stuff. We should do it properly.
I think I would love to see this tag also as something that would be in scope, being helping and encouraging members of the CNCF to find ways, methodologies, and tools to achieve their net zero goals when it comes to scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. I think because
she has it in here. She added it.
She did? Great. Okay.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah.
Do we want to add something in about this also in the in scope bullets?
Okay, in scope, define users.
Nikki, can you throw out an example of what that might look like, just so that we're on the same page?
Yeah, so maybe, for example, I don't know how, like an example of how we would do that, or as a tag.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing like most large entities own buildings, right? And so are we saying it would be in scope any software we develop to make large buildings more energy efficient? For example, I'm just trying to understand, is that what you mean, or is it something else?
So in line with what the CNCF can do, I would imagine for what I was thinking of, but there's many more things we could do, could be something like sharing how we change software, for example, in our dev environments to measure and reduce the amount of emissions in our integration test, right? That's one example that could be in scope, and how that links to net zero. And so how we linked those calculations to our net zero goals.
Okay,
So creating that bridge.
So much more in scope. Like, for example, turning off your test environment on the weekend, right? Simple example that folks could very easily follow through on and save some energy. That's good.
So we have in here in goals, evaluate architectures, for example, power management and performance, as well as performance gaps. Would that cover what you're looking at? Maybe this is better. Yeah.
I guess like how to link these things, because most, if not all of these, can be linked to net zero goals, organizational goals. But I would add another point to say what the tag can do to make that link between these changes in architectures and net zero goals. So maybe there could be many things in practice that we can do, like sharing stories and blog posts and sharing advice, maybe some kind of discussion around that. But I think it could be in scope as well, just to answer the question of why. Like, we're identifying and measuring things, but to link it to something that is tangible and on to organizations.
So, I mean, Nikki, if I understand you correctly, so you probably are concerned that we are just focused on technology improvements itself, and there's a larger playground of using technologies to help organizations to reduce the emissions and achieve the net zero goals to a larger extent, more like the application of these technologies. Does that capture the idea?
Yeah, exactly. It's taking it one step further, I imagine. And yeah.
Help organizations, but I don't know if this is like what we want to do as under the CNCF as a tag, because I'm thinking more like in this direction of, okay, you have like some sort of infrastructure based on cloud native applications, and then the tag, for example, like, I don't know, give some examples or like describes how to set up this infrastructure to be as friendly as possible to the climate. For example, this could be something, but we don't go to the organization and see, okay, this is how it's set up. This is what you want to do.
Yeah, Neil, I think that is definitely the reality. But I think if you are looking at in the future, and actually the current activities within Linux Foundation, you see the Linux Foundation Energy initiative. That is software-defined energy. So it's basically using technologies for utility companies and help companies to manage their power using technologies. And the other project called OS Climate, open source climate, my understanding that's also using technologies to address this net zero, just climate change concerns. So it looks to me that the directional change should be that instead of just focusing on technology itself, thinking about how to use these technologies, whether they are CNCF projects or not, to help the organizations, help the larger institutions to achieve their technology carbon emission net zero goals through other ways.
Okay, so it would look like this, that, for example, there's like some big company having big problems with their IT infrastructure. They say we have like tons of CO2 emissions and so on, and we use a lot of cloud native services, so we need to improve that. So they contact the tag, and we would, some of us who are volunteering, probably raising their hand or something, would then stay in contact with this company to improve their infrastructure to
I think that's
pollute less. Or
well,
what
so
do you think?
I don't think you're gonna have the resources to do that, right? Like there's too
no.
many.
Yeah.
What we can do is provide recommendations and ways
User
that we
stories.
identify make sense in a common environment. But I mean, we're not going to be able to be hands-on with everybody. But that's where we should go, is providing a framework for people through our knowledge. And when we hear from people, and they say we did this, then we can integrate more of that into our, hey, somebody tried this and it worked. And then it can build on itself, but it's not up to us. Like, we're not a company. We're not going to go in and try to help people fix things. Our goal is to kind of share and allow others to leverage what people have known in the past. So we're kind of the keeper of knowledge.
So we point them to documents and stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So now we have instead create recommendations to help users tie improvements to carbon net zero goals. Does that help?
Yeah, exactly. It's because the way I see it, I think a lot of the people who would be using the tools, technologies, and things that we are recommending would be users whose intention is to tie these things to their net zero or other pledges. So we should be coming from that position that the user is trying to do that. Therefore, how do we help them get there with the technologies that we are discussing and improving as a tag? And yeah.
Does it seem acceptable, Leo, as far as keeping the scope down so we're not going in fixing people's problems? But
yeah, I think like if we like write more into InScope, and then, for example, what Tony said, that I mean, we are not a company, we don't have the resources and so on. If we explicitly write something like this in out of scope, I think this could be like working together, kind of. So we want to achieve this, but we are limited on resources, limited on these.
We cannot evaluate individual.
Yeah, we cannot.
Company solution.
Right.
What about evaluate? There we go. That's good.
Is solutions the right word there?
Individual, company, or deployment, solutions, infrastructure.
Yeah. IT infrastructure or something.
Yeah, maybe that IT infrastructure.
I'm going to say infrastructure because it's more general, and I like things in out of scope.
Right. There's plenty of consultants that will take your money to do that for you.
So how does this reconcile with number 6?
Number
Evaluate architecture's power measurement and management, as well as performance gaps.
Architecture is meaning projects, right? Or we can take examples and say this, this is a recommendation in this form of architecture. But individual company infrastructures is different. Now, we might use an individual company as an example, but that's more in the recommendations. But we're not going to be sitting here doing this for them.
Makes sense.
If we look at the 6 security one, let me pull them up, because they had something like this in their out of scope because they were afraid of getting similar requests. So I do like having this in there.
And maybe also one thing, so sustainability is obviously not just about IT and so on. I mean, it's clear. So maybe we could also put something like this into out of scope, that we don't look at like social aspects of sustainability in companies? Just have the eye on IT or something? Just maybe maybe we will have something. I don't know. Just because sustainability is such a big topic, we don't want to get lost, right? We are in the cloud native CNCF side of things, so
yeah.
Maybe we should also cut some things off.
So, Leo, you're proposing to put some things in out of scope.
Yes.
Right. So we've added beyond the CNCF here to be very clear that we're not going anything beyond cloud native compute foundation technologies.
And
does that address it, or is there more that you'd like in there?
Well, those are about organizations and standards bodies. It's not about focus outside of CNCF.
Yeah. Also, the question is
sustainability outside. Good.
Yeah. So also the question is, so we have green software and so on. So
right.
Do we look at entire green software, or do we just because of the CNCF just look at specific applications? So is there like some? Do we want to?
So last time, sorry. Well, we have this in scope thing, which might be better suited in out of scope, which is to limit the scope of our activities by referring to the CNCF cloud native definition. So any activity that might fall outside of the scope of this definition, that would be the way to tell if an activity is in or out of scope based on the CNCF definition of cloud native.
Nothing saying we can't fit it in twice. What's that?
Yeah, I think it's because this topic is so broad, we really want to have a way to say if something is in or out of our scope.
Yeah.
Just for our own sanity, and because we don't have,
I'm thinking,
that many.
If we can just remove this line just for clarity and just say we won't focus. Yeah. Thank you.
And the last one, in scope, collaborate with the existing efforts from perspective of cloud native. Maybe also in general, collaborate with other sustainability efforts or something. Just, yeah.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
But do we also want to collaborate with so not only inside of the cloud native perspective, but also outside of the cloud native perspective? So maybe because we need, I don't know, data sources or something like this, and there may be some other foundations, Open Data Foundation or whatever, who have like some sustainability efforts going on. So maybe we want to also have a connection there, or not.
So I think a bunch of us are already talking with other organizations. So I guess in the in scope and out of scope, I want it as general as possible. So if this encompasses what you're worried about, I would just leave it, because then it's still qualified as in scope. Because this organization can change.
I guess from perspective of cloud native is the question, right? Is it,
are
we should we broaden that out? Because that could be interpreted as saying if it's not cloud native, we won't work with them. But really, what you're trying to say is we care about the cloud native part of it. They may care about something else and we want to collaborate with them, but I'm not sure the wording happens to be that clear.
You want to just have this?
Yeah.
Or maybe just say, especially from the cloud native, but that does not limit us to other efforts.
I mean, maybe, especially, So we definitely collaborate with those sustainability efforts, but also with others. So makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that better? Do you want me to get rid of the word effort, sustainability?
What would you replace it with?
I would just remove it.
With
Because there might be a
existing
group that has,
sustainability.
right. Well, they might have sustainability as part of the things that they're concerned about, but it may not be the whole.
But
I don't know.
don't we need to replace efforts with some word?
No, I would just remove the word sustainability.
Oh, gotcha. Sure. I'm fine with that. I don't know how others. Yeah,
Okay.
because what I like about that, Marlo, is I think about like FinOps, right? There's a lot
Mhm.
of overlap in, maybe coming from different, save money, save energy, but
Mm.
if we,
Yeah.
if we could work together with those types of folk as well, that would be good. So I like that.
Okay. In scope, out of scope. I want to add more stuff to out of scope.
I was just about to say that. We have to limit it. I don't know how.
Yeah.
So also one question is, so sustainability is like being more efficient, stuff like this, and blah, 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 and so on. But also there's like the idea of not building in a new system how to work, but this is kind of also connected. So circular circular economy and stuff like this. So it would be maybe something we want to put out of scope for now, because it's a bit too complicated for, I mean, we have a lot in scope already. So maybe we want to like only keep the focus on green software. So improving, I don't know, efficiency and stuff like this, but don't worry about changing the economy structure, how to, I don't know, like, for example, like also how to develop green software. Is this something that we care about? So for example, how to work agile. So how to structurally develop green software. Is this something in scope or out of scope? So
I think it's in scope because I have in mind on the list of projects we could play with, evaluating what languages people are using, for instance, right? And making recommendations in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then whether or not they should be updating with different libraries according to changes in the amount of energy it takes to run particular functions. And there's already some work in there, kind of, from the Green Software Foundation that they've been working. So I don't want to put it in out of scope because then it limits us later. Because because this is the tag. So the tag, all the working group stuff will come out of the goals in here, I'm assuming. So we want to have it open enough that if we have a tag that's specific to languages, it can, for instance, as an example.
Yeah. I was more thinking about, for example, like Scrum cycle and so on. So how to, I read like a paper that they basically proposed in like a couple of new stages in the Scrum cycle. And this is, I mean, not really specific to Cloud Native, maybe a bit also not something that we want to focus on. So if we don't put it in scope and not out of scope, we can maybe do it eventually, but it would not be a focus. So maybe this is a good compromise.
Yeah, the focus outside of cloud native technologies, I think, is a really good one and should cover cases like that.
Yeah,
because
and
it's
also
working style.
Yeah, I think when we put the cloud native definition here, it gives us the future-proof angles. If anything changes in the landscape, we have the opportunities to revisit these proposals again.
Yeah.
Deliverables. This is a set of deliverables. Is it the right set of deliverables?
So are there like some custom deliverables? Because I think there are a few deliverables that every tag needs to deliver to the TOC. So for example, giving status updates and so on. So what are the ones that are like standard and what are the custom ones here? Is there
So these are standard. I think this is pretty standard.
Yeah, but some of them, like when you say like landscape for the carbon and energy metrics, measurements, management savings, I mean, that's got to be somewhat specific to this because the tags aren't in there.
Right.
So,
this isn't, it's close to standard, right?
Probably in security, it says security.
Yeah.
For us, it says.
I see.
Yeah.
This is framework doc. I'm not sure how this is different from the landscape doc.
There's a wild idea, but great way to start my pitch. But hear me out. What about if there's recommendations we can make for the broader CNCF community through the TOC, such as that may not be related to tools, projects, etc., but rather, I don't know, like make ways to improve KubeCon. I don't know. I mean, it's not related to sandbox and projects.
Operations.
For example,
the CNCF operation.
Sorry?
So maybe improvements for the CNCF operation.
Yeah. I don't know if that's in scope.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
definitely something.
That's an interesting idea. So this is basically kind of like what I kind of meant earlier with social stuff. So how also the how the community works together, or how others are using Kubernetes, for example, to like, do we care about, for example, the user experience of Kubernetes? Because if there's a great user experience, it's more sustainable in a way. So because you can maintain it better and so on. So if we,
when you say it's a better user experience, it's more sustainable.
If it's because you can, for example, onboard people better. You can can maybe fix things faster. You can, if maybe in this sense.
I think the CNCF already has the, back to Neil's idea. I think CNCF has the idea of contributor onboarding process, and probably there's also a tag on it. So it's not uncommon that CNCF is considering the end user experience as well as the developer's experience. So back to the Nikki's recommendation, if we are making this process, CNCF operations, for example, the KubeCon and other onboarding process more efficient and energy towards the education as well as the operation, that's going to be a very positive contribution to the CNCF community.
Okay, so for things specifically around CNCF, like improving internal processes.
Right, internal that's the right way to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah, for example, in Kubernetes, we develop like some new tool to cut releases. Maybe we could in the future use this tool for all projects, because it's just does not make sense to, I don't know, develop 10 tools or something.
Or maybe REST NCI.
I get jumpy about saying particular tools. We can recommend tools, but we shouldn't say use this for all projects, because people's infrastructures are different and may preclude one.
Right.
That's
just an example.
Yeah, suggestions for improvements for CNCF internal processes, for example, education for sustainability. Does that help? Does that address it? I don't know how to say your name, Taiju, but I'm assuming I'm saying it vaguely right. Do you want me to add you to the stock? Do you have anything you'd like to add? I see you've joined.
Taiju, are you muted?
Oh yeah. I'm just muted. So I'm just reading the documents. No advice from myself here. Currently, we are working on a paper in China about the sustainability issues, problems here, and would like to gather more information about this. And from my side, I'm really interested in this, so I just joined in. So this is the first time I think I just try to catch up with you. I'm just reading all the documents.
Yeah, there's another meeting tomorrow morning. I believe it's still human time
Yes.
in China right now. So
yeah, maybe just send me an invitation, and if the time is appropriate for me, I will join.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Perhaps another way to judge what would be in scope or out of scope would be somehow to look at the impact, like high impact and lower impact, but just as a way to prioritize. I'm not sure, or if someone else has an idea of how to prioritize, or if we even want to.
I don't know if you necessarily want to, because that can change over time.
Jaiju, there's a HackMD. It's a link we set out to the mailing list that you should just be able to join magically. You'll have to make a HackMD account.
Yeah, so I think no. Okay. No problem. I think 8 to 9 p.m. is fine with me.
Okay. Let me make sure.
I'm assuming that meeting will be very similar to this one, just people who have more availability on a Tuesday than a Monday, right?
Yeah. So for instance, Mark Butcher was just coming back from a holiday and he's fintech. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to make this one, but he should be able to make tomorrow's, right? I wanted to make sure that we had as much available as possible. I'm not available tomorrow, so I'm gonna make sure we're advanced enough. And Leo, to your question about sync at the end of this meeting, I'll sync again the GitHub down so anyone who only has access to GitHub can do GitHub. I'm not trying to make people use this talk, but it is pretty good.
And at tomorrow's meeting, who's going to be live editing the doc? Have we figured that out yet?
I can do that tomorrow.
Very good. I'm not sure I'll be able to call in tomorrow as well. So
Yeah.
very good.
All right, deliverables. So we have suggestions for improvements. We should put in scope, outreach of some form. Logs. Logs.
I mean, you might be able to just go generic and say community outreach. Current projects, recommendations, I don't know.
We could add to the newsletter.
Mickey, do you want to be the editor-in-chief?
We have a Twitter that hasn't been used, so we could. One of my suggestions would be we do a weekly Twitter thing. So
Definitely, I like that.
Blogs, Twitter, conferences.
So basically, what happened last week in the tech sustainability, or
Yeah.
Yeah, no, or even look at this cool project. We could do like a project of the week or a sustainability thing of the week, right? And we can all take turns putting stuff in there. But you don't want too much traffic because then people mute you. So or at least I'll mute you.
So back to the outreach, I think that is a very good idea. And we do like just like the Green Software Foundation on a podcast schedule, regular podcast schedule. As long as you can create a regular publications, it's going to be a very good point for people to join.
Yeah, it'd be good to do maybe a monthly podcast. I don't know if I'm up for a weekly one. If someone else wants to do weekly, they could do weekly.
Yeah, weekly.
But I think doing a monthly might even be good.
Tony, did you say meetup?
A monthly podcast.
Monthly podcast.
Oh, I thought you were saying meetup. I think meetup is also a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, we have our meetings. Is that good enough or no?
Meetup is probably more like a
in
local
person,
event.
or?
Yeah, local events.
We could have like the GitOps Day, no, GitOps Con, but environmental sustainability Con.
Well, I'm making sure we cover everything. So we have, I mean, on any items within scope, for instance, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe for KubeCon, we can have like a side, maybe not a side event. Maybe this is a bit too big, but
one of the reasons to try to push this through earlier is because I was informed by Amy, if we don't get this doc minimally and it approved by mid-August, the chances of us getting onto the KubeCon schedule are about 0. So I would like to make sure that we get this doc in so that we can get into one, because they have panels for the tags, so we can have our panel there, because that would be a really nice start.
Yeah. I also proposed 2 talks for the KubeCon, but who knows?
We find out today, don't we? Yeah. Well, we find out today.
Yeah.
Today's the day.
It's either today or tomorrow. One of these. I think it's today, but I haven't heard yet, so I think we have.
No news is good news.
Depends.
We can read it both ways.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to cover today? We have 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm going to send out the video later today when I get it. But I think if anybody have a YouTube account that I can publish the video, that'd be great. Because my account has restrictions. I cannot publish it right now. I'm probably going to ask somebody to publish the video. So after the meeting, once I get the video, and we can send out yet another announcement to the mailing list. That'd be great.
So Amy should have a way to publish. So if you contact Amy Prin, you know her? Yeah. Do you know her?
Not personally.
Okay.
Maybe I can just send
in Slack.
I can just send you, and then you can just Okay.
I'll message her in Slack. I'll see.
Okay.
She should be awake. I don't remember what geo she's in. Okay, so I think we've covered everything. Is there anything else? I'm hoping tomorrow, when I'm not here, is really late.
So I also made some comments on the first paragraphs about the numbers and references. So we don't have this consistent reference. If you are reference from the IEA, just we're using IEA. If we reference the science, we just using science. We do not want to mix up different sources. That will create some of the inconsistency.
Yeah, I agree. Leo, do you know where this number came from? Because this was in the first doc, but was not referenced.
Which number? This number. Yeah, I can find the sources.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do and add them. And the way we're doing is we're just adding a link to the doc here, because there really isn't a good way to do a citation page.
Yeah.
But this lets it get linked directly.
I think it was from the semiconductor report last year. But I will check.
I didn't see the 12%. 12% is a really big percentage
yeah,
of the world's electricity.
I would remove the 12%. I don't think we really know what's going to happen by 2040.
Yeah. And on the other way, different sources will may say different things.
Exactly. What's that quote? Predictions are hard, especially when they're about the future.
I like that one.
That is a good one.
Yeah. Leah, if you want to go through that sentence and either remove it
I can
or find something.
Yeah, I can rephrase that. Yes.
Yeah, because it looks
And so
alarmist to me. So that number does seem really high.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be true. What about and therefore every compute resource available? I think that was there was a comment there too, right? Which is there's obviously other compute resources that are not covered by data centers. I guess does that line change anything? I don't think it changes the messaging at all. Whether
it changes. It changes because if you account Bitcoin mining and mobile device in general, then the numbers could be much higher.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, but what I'm saying is for the sustainability, when we say every compute resource accessible, if we take that out, does that change the message? I don't think it changes the messaging.
Right. I agree.
Like that?
Yeah, less is more.
I prefer less language when possible. Makes it more likely people will read it.
Unless it's out of scope.
More words is better than
This is going to be a big party.
Okay. Anything else we need to worry about, or should we adjourn?
Yeah, I have another meeting to run. It's a pleasure to meet everybody here.
Likewise.
Yeah. And Jaiju, let me know if you have any trouble getting on. You shouldn't with that link. You can also reach out to me in Slack directly. I also wake up usually middle of the night, so in your time zone.
No problem. So it's fine. It's just currently 9 p.m. here, so no problem. And by the way, where's the Slack link? Maybe I think I join that Slack to.
Okay.
It's in the Cloud Native. Hold on. Have you joined the Cloud Native Slack yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're in there, hold on, let me see if I can get you the link. My network could be really slow. Whatever you want. I'm going to stop sharing. Come on.
The link to the Slack is here.
Thanks. There's a way to do it without archives, but I don't figure that out.
So I have to run, sorry. And once I get the video, I'm going to reach out to Amy.
One last thing that I just remember. I was thinking, so we have like every 2 weeks a meeting. I think maybe in the beginning of forming the tag, it would be useful to have it weekly. So to have like shorter cycles, because we have much to discuss, which does not take too much time to, I don't know, think about. So maybe it would improve the speed of deciding things and so on.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. Let's have a community discussion on Wednesday when we talk. Yeah. Yeah, my goal is get this out so we can get this submitted as soon as possible, and then we can play games.
Good morning.
All right. Take care, Ramin.
Bye.
I think it's his meet, so we might all lose. All right. Bye.
Bye.